am your co-host, Raina Butcher, here with our host, Dr. Sarah Hensley.
Hey, hey.
Hey, hey. How's it going?
It is wonderful today. How are you?
I'm good. I wish that, the weather was a little bit better here in Kentucky.
I know. It is miserable.
February is just like gray and dreary and sad.
And freezing rain.
Yeah, it's just sad.
You get pegged with ice when you walk out the door. You're like, this is getting pelted.
But I am thankful that we had our little beach trip. It does help kind of break up the
we usually do a
seasonal
trip
depression
in February because Donald does suffer from seasonal depression.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so that really helps him.
It does.
It helps him a lot to do a winter trip. And so we've kind of made it a thing.
Well, let's just make it a thing from here on out.
Heck yes.
All right. St. John's every February.
Yes.
All right.
St. John was so beautiful.
Yes, it's gorgeous. So, episode 45, titled The Drop.
The Drop. And you have no idea what this is about.
I have no clue. I'm just over here like, I have no idea what she's about to talk about. No clue.
So, this is actually a Forrest Frank song, which he's a Christian rapper that I really like. It's a new release. It's a good song. You should check it out. But it's a song about humility and humbleness. And it's a song about getting to the top and then like you can drop. Like see how far it can drop. Because, and this just reminds me of my own journey this past year, the journey of 2024 where we had, the thing that we can't talk about. And just the news recently that we got a couple days ago that my mom's pancreatic cancer has returned, which was a real shock because we were looking at the 5-year mark, which is kind of like where they feel like you're in the actual remission.
Right.
We were so close. And she was pretty disappointed. And so it's really about how do you handle setbacks with grace? How do you handle setbacks with strength? How do you handle people that hurt you with humility? How do you stay humble even when you are in a good place in your life? There's so much around that.
Yeah, how do you stay out of victimhood?
Staying out of victimhood, which are things that we've talked about before. I have been in the lowest of low, and I've seen what I consider, in my opinion, the highest of high. Like I don't care to go any further. If I go further in my career, great. But I've been in the New York Times. This last week I was in the New York Times. I've been in the Washington Post. I've been in USA Today. I've been on national television. I've been, a star in my career.
And I'm like, we're just scratching the surface.
Yeah. Raina's like, you could be so much more. But to me, it's like, I've already reached the pinnacle.
Yeah.
And so it's fine if there's more out there for me.
Yeah.
But if there's not, that's okay.
Right.
But I've also, I think, reached a point where I did have this sort of few years of floating on a cloud, feeling really untouchable, and then have something really hard happen in my life and kind of be dropped down to reality or dropped down to earth, right? And I've learned some lessons through that.
Sure.
And I want to share them.
Yeah.
Because
beautiful lessons. That's what those hardships are for.
It's easy to be happy when everything is good. It's easy to be happy. When everything's going your way, life seems like you've got it all figured out. But in a millisecond, it can all change.
Absolutely.
I know that it has happened to me more than once where you get life-changing, shocking news, and it's happened to you more than once.
Yeah.
And you have to realize that it is absolutely a part of life to suffer, but we can lessen our suffering. If we stay faithful, God helps us lessen our suffering. If we stay humble, because I think it's easy to want to step into this position of like, well, I'm just going to get really, really tough and I'm just going to, bulldoze my way through this.
Right.
And there are times where you have to do that, but it should be a limited period of time, right? It's really hard on the nervous system to what we call white knuckle your way through things. Yeah. Which means essentially you don't have any capacity, but you're squeezing and trying and pushing so hard.
Survival mode.
It is complete and utter survival mode. And then you have to almost take on this hardened heart to keep it up.
Right.
You have to take on the like, well, F them or forget this or life's tough. Or I've seen a lot of it lately because we have such a divided political climate of people that are like, we need to be meaner. We need, and even like Kendrick Lamar's performance, like I love Kendrick Lamar. I liked the performance. You know, I didn't agree with everything that was said about it, but you know, people are like, I think I'm going to be more of a hater. Look at what's happened to Kendrick. Like he rose to fame through being a hater. I'm going to be more of a hater this year. And that just made me cringe on the inside.
Makes me sad.
It makes me sad for you that you feel like the way that you have to feel empowered to move through difficulty
is through hate
and through bitterness and through victimhood. Those things do not bring you out of the other side of suffering. And what I can tell you is everything in this life is on loan. It's all temporary. We don't own a single thing. All we do is manage our lives. We don't own anything.
Right.
You know, it's all temporary. If you're a person of faith and you believe that there's a life after this world, which I do. And I think that life can humble you in a freaking instant.
Yeah.
It can humble you to your knees at the drop of a hat. And I don't say this to put people in fear.
Yeah.
But I want to give people hope that when it does happen, because it's not if, it is when, you will feel like you can get your resilience and your strength from things that are positive, like optimism and gratitude and loving relationships, and not feel like you have to go out and be this tough person that is just white knuckling their way through life, because I end up seeing a lot of those clients and eventually they crack.
Sure. Yep.
Eventually they crack. And it's usually when they've cracked, when they come to me and they said, and they tell me about all the history of their trauma and how hard they've had to push and how tough they've had to create their exterior to try to survive difficult things. But when you allow life to make you hard like that, you can't be open to the vulnerability of real intimacy inside of relationships. And you can't ever truly relax.
Right. Yeah, hardships
and find peace.
Yeah, hardships I feel like were meant to soften us. And I think, you know, that's what God's grace is, right? When you're allowed to look at something really, really hard and accept it still as this beautiful, wonderful thing. And as something that you know will teach you or catapult you into something really awesome in your life.
Right. And it's hard to keep that perspective in the face of difficult news. Like my mom's cancer diagnosis, it's hard because she had to have so much tough chemo and radiation. And she had the Whipple surgery, so surgery is not ever an option again. She went through the toughest chemo. It's flufenacinox, which is, they basically said, hey, we can only do this type of chemo once. We know it works really well for pancreatic cancer, but you can't have it twice. It's too toxic. And she had some localized radiation, and so we're trying to figure out now, can she go for more radiation? Can her body handle more radiation? And so there's a real reality here that, you know, if it reoccurs again, or if the radiation or treatment isn't strong enough to stop it, it's an aggressive cancer.
All right.
And so you have to be able to face the truth.
5 years ago, though, if you'd gotten that news on the beach, you would have been in shambles. And like you did, I'm really proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm really proud of you because, you know, even Josh said, is Sarah going to be okay? Like, you know, and I'm like, yeah, she's going to be okay. And because you handled it really, really well. Not like 5 years ago Sarah would have.
No, 5 years ago Sarah would have been
I mean, of course it's devastating. That's not that, like, it's devastating news. But you can't, you know, there's only so much that you can control. And in the face of these really hard things, in the face of such devastating news, you still have to be, it's still a choice to choose joy and humility and love.
Yep. And I made
softness.
A conscious decision that day because my mom's like, I debated calling you. I don't want to ruin your vacation, but I also know that you want to know.
Sure.
You know, and my mom doesn't really have anybody. You know, I'm her main support system. So I know that she wants to talk about it and not have to hold that in. You know, I decided I made a conscious choice that we can't do anything about it today. We can't even do anything about it until we talk to the treatment team. And so if I allow this news to devastate me, I am going to miss out on the joy of this beautiful place and the present moment and the good time with the people that I love. And I wasn't willing to do that. But I couldn't have made that choice 5 years ago because I didn't have capacity to make that choice because my nervous system was a wreck. And all I had done my entire life was white knuckle through, push through this next crisis. Okay, push through. And I cracked. And I will never go back there because there is another option out there, right? Which is learning to cultivate safety in your own nervous system, learning to really appreciate and have gratitude for the things in your life. And trust me, I was in a period of life where there wasn't much to be grateful for other than my kids are alive and I have shelter and I have running water. But comparison, my husband says comparison is the thief of joy, and it is.
Yeah, it absolutely
is. And so when I have these tough things that happen in life, like it is a pretty big blow because at the 5-year mark, they say there's only a 10% chance of it coming back. And you have to understand that my mom had a 4% chance of surviving the first year.
Yeah.
So making it to almost 5 years where we were going to get that whole 10% likelihood, it was like we were so close, right? But at the same time, the way that you get through hard things, if you're on cloud 9 and you've been humbled in an instant, you're dropped down to earth, one, you have to have radical acceptance. Denial is it's a river in Egypt and it does not serve you. It serves you none to stay in denial.
And so many people are in denial.
Oh my gosh, yes.
It's a disease.
You have to have radical, deep acceptance that this is the situation. Here are all the possible outcomes. You have to realize what you can and cannot control. Stop trying to control things you can't control. That's hard to do, but people don't even know how to determine what they can and can't control. So you got to determine what can you control and what you can't control.
Yeah.
Right? I had a long conversation with my mom about what's the plan. And I said, well, Mom, this is what I would do if I were you. If I were you and it were me in this situation, here's the things I would do. But ultimately, she has to make that decision because I said, what I would do doesn't necessarily match what would be the best for your quality of life. Like I told her I would get rid of all of my toxic products. Like I would, focus on getting rid of processed foods. I would do those things just to help my body through the chemo.
Right.
She's going to have chemo no matter what.
Right.
And chemo is very toxic. So reducing your other toxic load is going to be important. And there is evidence that doing that and stuff can help. And, but I said, but if, you're also 75 and you love your Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
And if you feel crappy during chemo and, a Coke is going to make you feel better, then make that decision and don't have shame about it. Right. And so that's what I told her is you have to focus on what you feel like you can control. And if you feel like, hey, it's too much to try to hyper control my environment during this, then give yourself grace and mercy.
Well, because trying to control it just does more damage.
Right, exactly. And it just dysregulates you. And the stress is worse than the Coke.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, for sure.
You have to pound this into the ground, guys. The stress and trauma and not being able to cope is worse than anything. So, if you have some little crutches here and there that help things, help you sustain yourself, then okay. It's not like you're doing awful things like getting drunk every night. Right. And so you have to control what you can control. Fostering a sense of safety in yourself.
That's a big one.
And you have to switch from the what if to the even if. That was the biggest, most profound change of my life is going from what if to even if.
Right.
Even if this happens,
I'm going to be okay.
I'm going to be okay. Yeah. I'm still safe. I'm still going to be okay. And with my mom, we've taken that trip down the rabbit hole of, okay, so you do die, right? One, you've made it to 75. That's a beautiful life. I know you're not ready to go. And I even said this. I said, before I even tell you this, Mom, just know that your feelings are valid. I know you're not ready to go. I acknowledge that. But let's just change it from what if to even if, because you have to.
Yeah.
If this is your time, you will transition immediately into paradise where there is no pain, there is no sadness, there is no hurt, there's no disease. You will be reunited with my dad, who will finally be a healed human being.
Yeah.
Right?
And all their glory.
Your mother, your father, your brother.
Yeah.
There's going to be people that are going to show up for you there in heaven that you've never, like you're going to be transitioning from one set of wonderful people to another set of wonderful people.
Yeah.
And you won't miss me. I know you think you will, but we have to rest on God's promises of what heaven is.
Right. Yeah.
And they say there's no pain, there's no tears. And so just, I don't want her to fear death.
Yeah.
And I know she does to some degree. But letting go of my fear of death transformed my entire life.
Absolutely.
Because even if I die now, it would be devastating because my kids, Donald we're in the process of adoption. We have a hearing. But I know if I died, he'd be a wreck.
Yeah.
And my kids would be a wreck. And of course, I would have to assume that they would recover. But I'm not going to care if I'm in heaven.
You're going to be living the high life.
Yeah, because the veil will be lifted.
That's right.
Right? Because God will be able to hopefully show me the plan for my kids' lives, which ends there. Right? Because I've taught my kids to be in relationship with Jesus Christ and to always come at life from the even if standpoint. Yeah. Even if the worst happens, even if, okay, I've faced enough adversity, I've faced enough deep trauma to be able to face even if.
Yeah. Well, and it completely prepares you for what, the worst thing you could ever imagine, right? Which in my mind is like the loss of a child,
yes,
right?
It is.
And it's completely devastating, and to think about is devastating. And, even thinking about something happening, to Josh or Donald, it's extremely devastating. But I know through my faith and really just through everything that I've previously been through, that no matter what, like God's got my back. And that's a really, really secure feeling.
It is. It is the ultimate security because nobody can offer you the comfort that Jesus can, because he says, one, I'm here to take away your shame. The shame of your sins. If you repent, if you turn towards me, your shame is gone. You're wiped clean. And shame is so painful and it binds us. It binds us. It binds us to Satan. It binds us to the worldly issues, right? And then two, he offers the comfort and the peace of the afterlife. Like the worst thing that we think about happening is death, ultimately, right?
Right. The scariest.
The scariest thing. And when you no longer fear death, it's so freeing.
So freeing.
And I know that my mom doesn't want to suffer. There's a fear of suffering.
Yeah.
Right? There's a fear of pain. There's a fear of sickness. I saw the chemo the first time. It was brutal. But she did really, really well comparatively to a lot of people. And I just try to tell her, Mom, I will be here for you. And we're going to take it one day at a time. And we are not going to lose faith in God, because there's that struggle with, well, how can God allow these things to happen? He doesn't, it's not him. No. It's not him. We have free will. And we make decisions. And I'm not going to blame my mom's cancer on her. She did smoke for like a really, really, really long time.
Yeah, but people who don't smoke still get cancer.
Still get cancer, exactly. Yeah. So I'm not saying like her cancer was caused by just by smoking. But what I'm saying is like we have free will to make decisions that can hurt our body. Right. But also as a society, we've created a toxic world.
That's right.
Right? That we know changes our DNA and puts us at risk for cancer. And so like human beings have made choices that have elevated our risk for disease, right? We choose to drive cars. When we make a choice to drive a car, there's the risk of an accident. We choose to
talk on cell phones.
Right, we choose to talk on cell phones.
Yeah.
We make these choices. Do you think that that's God being like, I'm going to get you into a car accident today?
Right.
No, it's human free will and human error.
Right.
But God is here to be alongside of us in that suffering. And the only thing that ever really helped me wrap my head around this was that the earth is the only place we can learn limitations. There are no limitations in heaven. There's no limitations of love, of happiness, of peace, of joy, of goodness, of faithfulness, of all the fruit of the Spirit. There's no limitations to those things in heaven. But how could you appreciate no limitation unless you've experienced limitation?
That's right.
Right? You would have no frame of reference. And so I think that I do not know this to be true. This is my personal opinion. I think God allows us this journey on earth to experience limitation and to experience his love through suffering. We can't even comprehend what Jesus did for us if we don't suffer ourselves.
Right.
We have no comprehension, right, of the level of suffering that Christ took upon himself for our release of shame, for our forgiveness of sins, for the everlasting life without separation of God in heaven. And so if we can't learn limitations, how can we know when the veil is lifted what that incredible joy and love feels like?
I mean, I'm of course never rush death, but you know, when I think about certain things like meeting my mother in heaven in all her glory is how I'd always envisioned her. Like, I look forward to that.
Of course.
Like, I get excited for that.
Sure.
And of course, like, again, you know, like, I never want to rush it.
Right.
Not today, Satan.
Yeah, not today, baby.
But I do, I can't wait for those moments to meet the people that, you know, I miss dearly here on earth.
Yeah. I'm excited to see Jared healed. You know, because he had a lot of demons that he struggled with. And I mean, I look forward to the day where I can see the father of my children be a whole happy, you know, human being, in his spiritual realm. I mean, I guess we won't really be human anymore, but it's really important to earn your attachment security, because attachment security creates the deep sense of safety ingrained into your nervous system. It rewires your nervous system, essentially. And I don't know if a lot of people understand that that's the hallmark of secure attachment, is a deeply felt sense of safety in your nervous system and having control over your nervous system to some degree.
Yeah.
Of course, you know, not all emotions are in our complete control, but we can ground ourselves in safety when those really, really difficult times happen to us. And we can use, for example, compartmentalization to our advantage.
Right.
On the beach that day, I had to compartmentalize it. I didn't work through all those difficult emotions in that moment.
Right.
There was no space or time to do that.
No.
So I said, you know what? I'm going to take this situation and I'm going to put it over here in this bucket.
Right.
And I'm going to step right back over here into the joy and into the beautiful beach and into the beautiful relationships with the people that I love here today in the now. And so that would probably be my last tip, is staying in the present. Because in the book, Eckhart Tolle's Power of Now, will change your life.
Oh my gosh, that book is profound.
It will change your whole life. Because it teaches you that the future doesn't exist and the past doesn't exist. All you have is the present.
Yeah.
So if your mind is in the future and that is dysregulating your nervous system, you are missing out on the present. And I could never truly, deeply get that until I taught my nervous system to accept that.
Yeah.
And that's what I try to teach other people to do, is to accept that there is nothing else but now. So what are you doing in the now?
Yeah.
Are your thoughts about those past conversations productive? Learn the lesson and move on. Stop going back there.
Yeah.
If you have to redirect those thoughts every 5 seconds, okay. But you're probably trying to think through something you should be feeling anyway.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And the only way out, and my last tip is, the only way out is through. You can't sidestep it. And we do all sorts of stuff to band-aid our pain.
Oh, for sure.
I think everybody I've ever come in contact with is in some way, shape, or form afraid of their own emotions.
Yeah.
And they are looking for band-aids.
One big piece of advice that I'll never forget that my ex's dad gave me, and this was in the throes of the craziness of our relationship. And I just, you know, I looked at him and I'm like, you know, this hurts, you know, it hurts. And, you know, what do I do? And he said, you just got to walk through the pain. You got to walk through it, honey.
Yeah.
You got to walk through it to get to the other side.
Yeah.
And of course, at that time, I had no frame of reference around it, but it's so true.
Yeah.
And you got to accept the pain as a gift. perfect because the pain is trying to teach us something.
It is. I always, when I teach emotional processing, I tell people emotions are signals. They have signal value. And when you don't deal with them, you bypass the signal value and they stay stuck. You can't move the energy.
Yeah.
So speaking of moving through pain, I've had to move through the pain of my stomach without my Armra colostrum.
Yes.
Thank
God for Armra.
Our affiliate Armra colostrum, who has made such a difference in my tummy. If you have tummy pain, which a lot of hot people have tummy pain.
Yeah.
Okay.
All hot girls have tummy issues.
Hot girls have stomach issues. And Armra can be a huge help for that. It is colostrum, which is, something that will help repair your gut. It will make a difference in your hair, your skin, your nails, just your overall health and well-being. And so we do have a really great discount code, LoveDoc. If you visit armra.com, you will get 15% off of your order. It is a fabulous supplement. You just mix it in your drink. There's flavorless, and they also have really great flavors. The watermelon is my favorite, but definitely worth checking out. It is a all-around good health game changer supplement.
And listen, guys, Sarah and I love stuff. Okay, we love products.
Stuff. We're extremely easily influenced.
Yes,
but then we give things up very quick. If it doesn't work on the first go, we're like, no.
I am a sucker for anything that I feel can elevate my health.
Yes.
At the end of the day, and so I've been taking Armra for now close to a year. And I was having, like I said, lots of tummy issues before, and it has just been a complete game changer. So we're not just blowing smoke here, guys.
That's right.
We truly believe in this product.
We will not promote a product on our podcast that we do not believe in.
No.
We will not do it because we are absolutely authentic.
Yeah. We are trying our very best to show up as our very best authentic selves, which was the last episode we did.
Yes.
So, but this episode, of course, was called The Drop. And if you are feeling right now, if you're at a low point in your life, just know that there is hope.
There is hope. The suffering does not last forever. It doesn't.
And there's healing.
There's healing available.
And if you need some guidance in your healing journey, Dr. Hensley's here. I highly encourage you. Go to the website, read some of the testimonies. I read them sometimes just to get motivated and feel good because they are so, so profound what people say about you specifically.
Yeah, it really is. Sometimes I don't feel worthy, you know, when I get this feedback and I'm like, my gosh, I just want to be a good steward of the kingdom.
Yeah. And you're healing people, and it's, I always say I'm just happy to be riding the coattails of it. And I'm so grateful to be here. We are so grateful for each and every single one of you.
Yes.
We could not do this without you. It's our favorite thing to do, guys.
Yes.
We love the podcast.
That's
now,
right.
Today was a little bit harder. I'm not going to lie, because I'm recovering from vacation and I was like, ugh. But we love coming here. We love talking to you guys. We love being a part of this community. We love that you are a part of this community. There's so much more to come. Stay tuned because we're going to have our husbands on air. Okay, guys?
Yep, our husbands are coming on the pod.
Yes, and we have this whole thing planned where we're going to ask them questions on the fly. We're not going to tell them what the questions are.
Yep.
So they have to they're going to free flow gangster like we do.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Donald will be very nervous.
Oh my gosh, Josh will be so nervous too. So it's going to be interesting. So stay tuned. We love you guys. Please go see Dr. Hensley at the website, which is now thelovedoc.com. Check out her services. For all of our listeners, you can use LoveDoc27 to get 27% off her hybrid group coaching program. And guys, until next time, peace, love, and perspective.